You're right on time for Hope TV Newswatch on the second day of September 2024. Tonight, the Dialogue KE resumes, and I have the privilege of hosting the SRC Commissioner John Kennedy Munyoncho as we discuss as the Salaries and Remuneration Commission terms concludes this September. We'll explore the Commission's milestones in the past 6 years and what lies ahead for Kenya's remuneration landscape. A very good evening to you and welcome to the broadcast. My name is Kennedy Kimani. Now, the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers, KUPPET, have called off the teachers' strike. KUPPET Secretary General Akelo Misori has noted that the strike was suspended after entering a tentative agreement with the Teachers Service Commission. Now, earlier on, learning was paralyzed in various secondary schools across the country after learners were sent back home due to the teacher strike that was in place. The schools had asked the parents to pick the students earlier today.
Leo asubuhi masaa ya saa 12 na dakika 10 hivi tulipata ujumbe kutoka kwa mwakilishi wa walimu wa kidato cha kwanza, akatuambia kama wazazi twende tuchukue either watoto ama watoto watakuwa wanakuja nyumbani. Na hiyo ilitokana na hali ya mshike iliyokuwa kule shuleni, kwa sababu tu hapakuwa na wanafunzi, hapakuwa na walimu pale shuleni. Kwa hivyo mwalimu mkuu akaona ile hali iliyokuwa, akapata hekima tu, akatuambia kama wazazi basi tuwatarajie wanafunzi wetu ama watoto wetu pale nyumbani wakati wote kutoka.
And teachers affiliated to KUPPET have today stormed the Ken Obura Secondary School in Kisumu, releasing all students.
Na hali ya mshike iliyokuwa kule shuleni, kwa sababu tu hapakuwa na wanafunzi, hapakuwa na walimu.
From that, and aviation workers under the Kenya Airports Authority held a demonstration at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport on Monday. Armed with placards, the workers condemned a public-private partnership that will see Indian-based Adani Group Holdings take over operations at JKIA. KAA staff argue that the Adani deal poses a risk to their jobs in favor of foreign workers.
On air.
Now, President William Ruto has arrived in Beijing, China, for the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation Summit, accompanied by First Lady Rachel Ruto and Africa Union candidate Raila Amolo Odinga. The meeting presents an opportunity for Africa to renew and strengthen its partnership with China. President William Ruto said that China has proven to be a true development partner, significantly revamping Kenya's infrastructure. The government is looking to leveraging these ties to accelerate transformation.
We wait for a
Now, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has challenged government offices to fully implement presidential directives to avoid putting President William Ruto's authority into question. Speaking on Monday during the launch of 2 information systems that will aid in tracking implementation of presidential directives and foreign travel by offices, the Deputy President said the dignity of the President should not be put to question by the failure to roll out the directives as envisaged.
It is now my pleasure to officially launch the Foreign Travel Information Management System and the Presidential Directives Management Information System, PDMIS. Working through and with people, the PDMIS will be used to dispatch directives to ministries and state departments for implementation and status reporting. I believe that the most important benefit of the system is ensuring we bring dignity to the directives of His Excellency the President and ensure that the same are followed through and implemented without undue delay. Where changes are experienced in the implementation of such directives, as may happen in the course of any program implementation cycle, then the same is easily flagged, adjusted, and promptly communicated to the public. Effective tracking of directives and early escalations where challenges are experienced has been a challenge in seeing through implementations and measurement of impact. Accordingly, automation of the dispatch, implementation, tracking, and reporting of directives will ensure proactive rather than reactive implementation.
I've actually been trying to find a balance. It's been really tough and hectic, but everyone says once you get a hang of it, it becomes better, and I don't know, but I'm hoping to find a balance soon because it's really been hectic. But you've been in the job industry for a long time, so I think you would know better. Sindio?
Huh? What time is it? I need to catch up on Leadership Forum. Do they have a radio here? Never mind. I brought my own.
No way. You can't be serious. Wait, why do you have a radio and you can just catch up with the shows on Hope FM podcast?
Really? Even Meet of the World?
Yeah. I mean, you can find them on whatever platform, name it. AfriPods, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it.
But I'm not subscribed on any of them.
So no worries. You can just check out the latest episodes on hopemediakenya.org.
You can now listen to select Hope FM programs on your favorite podcast streaming platform or directly on our website www.hopemediakenya.org. Listen and live.
To get Wewe ni Mungu by Evelyn Wanjiru as your Skiza tune, SMS the word Skiza 88300028 and send to 811. Hope Skiza, spreading the hope.
Nakupa ibada ya moyo wangu usiku wa leo.
Rafiki soul is the promise of a hand that reaches and goes beyond what angaza tumaini kote. I'm forever grateful. Ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. I'm forever grateful. Ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. Rafiki soul is a promise of a hand that reaches goes beyond. Watangaza tumaini kote. I'm forever grateful. Ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. I'm forever grateful. Ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. Rafiki
Friends of Hope, keeping hope alive.
Welcome back. You're watching Hope TV Newswatch. Now, the Kenyan who was wanted in the United States of America in connection to the murder of his girlfriend on the American soil has been extradited to the U.S. Kevin Kang'ethe, who was accused of committing the heinous act of murdering Margaret Mbitu in 2023, was extradited by the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions on Sunday. He was arrested by Kenyan authorities after staging a hideout in the country, prompting a diplomatic intervention between the two countries. And to some sporting action now. Handicap 5 home player Major retired Peter Waweru carded an excellent round of 35 points to claim top prize at the 19th qualifying leg of the 2024 NCBA Golf Series held at the Scenic Nanyuki Sports Club on Saturday. The veteran delivered an outstanding performance, fending off a stiff challenge from Moses Mudoki, who had to settle for the runner-up position in Division 1 after also returning 35 points, playing off a handicap of 7.
So NCBA has prioritized golf as a brand platform, as a development platform for juniors, the elite amateurs, and in the club series where we show our appreciation to the customers that bank with us, that play golf, but also get to meet the community, the people around in the town who are also members of these clubs that may not be enjoying the services of NCBA. And so we get at a platform to be able to engage. We've seen a lot of benefit. We receive great feedback about our services and products. And so it's an important platform that continues to grow year on year.
And we are happy that NCBA could sponsor us this year. We are happy with all partnerships because, you know, especially for your kind of bank, it's a good partnership. These are your customers. So when you come here, we feel that sense of community. So we thank you for sponsoring us this year, and we look forward to you doing the same next year.
Now, the national men's football team Harambee Stars have arrived in Uganda for the Africa Cup of Nations 2025 qualifier match. The first match will be an encounter against Zimbabwe on Friday, followed by one against Namibia on Tuesday next week in South Africa. Unfortunately, no Kenyan stadium meets the standards set by the Confederation of African Football to host high-magnitude matches. Both Nyayo National Stadium and Moi International Sports Center, Kasarani, have been closed for renovations. And with that, we come to the end of the first part of this bulletin, but immediately after, we go straight to the Dialogue KE. Stick around.
Rafiki soul is the promise of a hand that reaches and goes beyond. Watangaza tumaini kote. goes beyond. Watangaza tumaini kote.
Friends of Hope, keeping hope alive.
I've actually been trying to find a balance. It's been really tough and hectic, but everyone says once you get a hang of it, it becomes better, and I don't know, but I'm hoping to find a balance soon because it's really been hectic. But you've been in the job industry for a long time, so I think you would know better. Sindio?
Huh? What time is it? I need to catch up on leadership forum. Did they have a radio here? Never mind. I brought my own.
No way. You can't be serious. Wait, why do you have a radio and you can just catch up with the shows on Hope FM podcasts?
Really? Even which of the what?
I mean, you can find them on whatever platform, name it. AfriPods, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it.
But I'm not subscribed on any of them.
So no worries. You can just check out the latest episodes on hopemediakenya.org.
You can now listen to select Hope FM programs on your favorite podcast streaming platform or directly on our website www.hopemediakenya.org. Listen and live.
This week on Testify.
Very regularly pray for my sister's marriage because both my parents were not there. They had gone to be with the Lord. And as the elder brother, it was my responsibility to ensure that she would settle down and get married. And so I would regularly pray for that. My personal conviction is that if we trust the Lord and wait upon Him, the Bible talks about the steps of a good person being ordered by the Lord.
Yes.
Psalms 37 and 23. And Romans 12:2, that you will know the good, the perfect, acceptable will of God.
Only on Hope TV. Look and live.
Hello there, praise the name of the Lord. My name is Evelyn Wanjiro. To get Naiwe Maombi as your skiza tune, SMS skiza 8830022 to 811. Hope Skiza, spreading the hope.
Welcome to the Dialogue KE. Now tonight I have the privilege of hosting SRC Commissioner John Kennedy Munyonjo as the Salaries and Remuneration Commission terms concludes this September. During the show we will explore the Commission's milestones in the past 6 years and what lies ahead for Kenya's remuneration landscape. Karibu sana Kennedy to the studio.
Thank you.
It's not the first time. So
no. Asante sana. Asante.
Well, SRC terms comes to an end, as you wrap the 6 years of service. What do you consider the most significant achievements of the commission during this tenure?
Wow, it's a whole lot of achievement that we've done. I see that for us we've really left on a high. The mandate of the commission is basically to ensure that we set and review the remuneration for state officers. That was done in this tenure. The last 6 years. We're able to review their pay. We're able to review the pay for other public officers. We were able to set up policies that are able to address what you call runaway allowance payments. We set up policies that did that. Of course, immediately we got on board, we had to establish a new strategic plan because every commission comes in with a new strategy and a new strategic plan. The biggest of them all definitely is to see a reduction of the wage bill from 51%, which is about half of what we have in terms of our revenue, to around 46% in 2021-22. But I think as soon as we get the final numbers this year, we should be around 40, 39, 40%. That is the biggest of them all, because remuneration is really about affordability and it's about sustainability. So it's not just about what we are paying, but can we pay you tomorrow the same amount? So from the big picture, if that was the only beacon or indicator that we measured by, then we have actually managed to reduce that ratio. We are not saying the absolute numbers have reduced because we continue to recruit doctors, we continue to recruit, the discipline services, we continue to recruit teachers, and therefore, although in absolute terms the figure may have gone up, but in terms of percentage and in terms of what we collect, we are actually far ahead from where we were 6 years ago.
All right.
Yes.
The last time you were on the interview, you say that one of the biggest challenges is actually you're not being well funded. And maybe if you
recall that, well, it's correct. I mean, if you look at our budget, we began with a budget of about 600 million. We are finishing with a budget of 495 million.
Yes. So you have actually faced budget cuts.
So there's been budget cuts, and I think we are not the only ones. We have seen many other government institutions run short of financial resources, and we have to do with little money, and yet we want to do what we must do. But I'm very grateful that we've been able to still do what we needed to do in that period. We've had well-wishers, we've had supporters who've helped us to be able to undertake what we needed to do. For example, the last wage bill conference that we did, we didn't have any money. It's some well-wishers who gave us money, and the conference was held and we were finished. So it doesn't have we don't have to have the money. So long as we have the will, and which we did. For the 2 conferences that we conducted, we didn't have money to do that. We asked for help, and we were given help, and we were able to undertake those conferences at international level. I don't know whether you were there or you sent somebody to come to the Bomas to see the level of finesse that happened was at international level, yet with a very lean budget. Just to show you that good things can happen with little money. We don't have to be lavish in terms of achieving what must be achieved.
Yeah, talking about salary harmonization and fairness, the SRC has been tasked with this role to ensure fair and equitable remuneration across the public sector. How successful has the Commission been in achieving this, and maybe what areas still need improvement?
This is the uphill task that still remains. Ken, when we took over as a commission from 2013, we had very many different salary structures. So you'd find similar roles, and I like using the accountant role, in central government, and that similar role in state corporation, earning very different pay. But they're doing the same work. Okay? If today we tell you that a clerk, if you are going to say that you have a clerk or a messenger or a driver in the private sector, or a driver in the previous local authority, local government, we used to have local governments, drivers there are earning much more than officers, even in central government. Now, how do we harmonize that? You see, people see harmonization as very simple. It means if you're earning 60 and I'm earning 30, I also need to earn 60 so that we're now harmonized. Now, that's a very expensive affair, and it must be done what we call gradually. What we have done, and we have succeeded as one of our highlights, is we have undertaken what we call job evaluation. We have approximately 60,000 jobs in the public service, 60,000 jobs, not employees, jobs. But we well undertook around 48 to 50,000 jobs were evaluated, which means I now know the grade of an accountant, I know the grade of an economist, I know the grade of a secretary. Therefore, if I'm going to determine the pay, it must be the pay of a secretary who is in central government and who is in the state corporations. Now, what I need to do is that based on the performance of the economy, what will happen? Those who are earning less, what we have undertaken these last 6 years is to progressively allow those who are not at the point of where everybody else is to have little increases up to a point where they will be able to catch up. I call it catch up because it may take a bit of time. Yeah. What that will mean is that those who are already there are going to be disadvantaged because they will have to wait for the others to catch up. That's why it's not an easy discussion, Ken. That's a discussion even the next commission must pursue with care based on what money we have and then at the pace at which we're able to move. Our estimate, maybe in the next 10, 15 years, we could be there if we have an economy that continues to the upward trend in terms of growth.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's go back to the public wage management debate. And actually last week, the SRC chairperson released the report, and she said that they have been able to manage to reduce the public wage bill in terms of percentage, but not in absolute terms.
Yes, yes.
The story of public wage bill remains a major concern for the government. And how has SRC contributed to managing and maybe potentially reducing this wage bill?
What we've done is the different committees that are established. I chair the wage bill committee that really deals with all the increases in the wages, but also we have other committees that deal with allowances. There are other committees that deal with job evaluation and salary structures, of course, and stakeholder committee and so forth. What the commission has done, first of all, is to ensure that any payments, whether remuneration increases or whether it's a collective bargaining negotiation that is being undertaken so that a collective bargaining agreement can be entered into, or whether there is a requirement to pay special allowances to special groupings, none of that happens before the commission is involved. So no payment can be paid until the commission says so.
Yeah.
What that means is that in the past, whereas an institution would wake up and say, today we have a conference and we're all going to Kisumu and it's called a task force and we're going to pay everybody so much money in terms of task force. Yeah. Before they do that now, they must write to the commission and say, we're having this conference and could you kindly go ahead and give us advice on whether we should pay. We would like to pay this amount, but now, can you advise us? We will tell them, based on the work you're going to be doing, this looks like office work. So we're not allowing you to pay. You work in the office and work from there. Yeah. When it comes to collective bargaining agreements, what we have done is that we have allowed the employers or the trade unions to negotiate with the employers, and the employers would then ask for beacons. Beacons are like the range under which they need to be able to negotiate. Once the commission gives them the beacons for negotiation, they can now go back and get into a negotiation with the trade unions. That means you cannot pay what you don't have. So we've ensured that if you don't have money, you cannot negotiate.
Yeah.
We've ensured that the allowances have also been cut down. Only necessary allowances are actually payable within the public service. So apart from that, of course, we're also saying that in terms of the review, if you recall, in 2020 when we had the COVID-19 challenge, what happened was that our economy didn't do very well. And because the economy didn't do very well, we did not apply or implement the remuneration review for 2 years. Okay? So that is part and parcel of managing the whole process, ensuring we are not paying what we don't have.
Yeah.
So among many others, we've actually taken a lot of time in ensuring that that is done.
All right.
Yeah.
Talking about industrial actions by public servants, and actually today Kupet called off their strike. And we actually witnessed numerous industrial actions by public servants, including teachers, doctors, and other essential workers. What role does the SRC play in addressing the grievances that lead to this strike?
How we come in, first of all, is that the grievances that you normally see have got many, many other things other than remuneration.
Yeah.
Many others. I know the focus mainly has been just remuneration.
Yeah.
But there are many other grievances that we see around around the industrial actions that happen. Now, as I mentioned, is that when the period for a CBA comes to an end, what is expected between the employer and the employee is that the employee, who is a member of the trade union, represented by the union, make a proposal to the employer. Now, the employer cannot give a counter offer until they have consulted SRC. Why do they consult SRC? SRC has got the bigger picture, especially in terms of the resource envelope and in terms of what other institutions are paying based on the requests from the trade union. So what we do, because we've done research, we have the information. So what we do, we look at across board all the other unions, what they're asking compared to what this other union is asking the employer. Is it fair? Is it comparable within that range? And is it affordable? Can they afford? If it's comparable and if it is fair, the question is, can they afford? If they can't afford, and not only afford, if they can't sustain, that means they'll pay this year, but they must continue paying consequent years. If those are all these conditions are met, they can go ahead and negotiate based on the advice we give them. So as you see, our role comes in to ensure that there is no runaway payment of salaries without consideration of the resource envelope or the availability of what we already have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Every year we actually see industrial actions, and mostly in the public sector.
Yeah.
I don't know how can SRC contribute to managing, this situation and long-term
solutions? You should say such a thing before 2018 and probably before 2013. I'll tell you why. Because in 2013, the Commission established a 4-year cycle for CBAs. Before that, it was every 2 years or every year, depending on the institution. When the Commission came on board, we established a 4-year cycle. So you cannot start engaging in a CBA before the 4 years are completed. So as we speak now, most of the CBAs have come to a close. And maybe because they are varied, because you can have 19 to 23, 20 to 24, 21 to 25. So it can happen every year, but if you look at the time lapse, is actually 4 years. And that, what the Commission has done, we have established guidelines that all institutions that have got trade unions should adhere to. When you start the negotiation, what is required for the negotiation, how long shall we have the negotiation, in case you don't agree, what happens. So that the Commission has set in place. And as we speak, I think if you carefully consider the last 4, 5, 6 years, there's been very few industrial actions. I think it's mainly maybe the doctor and even the teacher. You've not even heard about the teachers. You're only hearing the teachers now. After 6 years, nothing has happened. This is the time you're hearing. And it's not about money. It's about what? You know what? It's about something different. It's not about the remuneration. Absolutely. It's something different.
Mainly it's about the remuneration.
Well, what I'm reading is about something different because the remuneration aspect has been sorted out. What they're now dealing with is a differently total agenda.
All right.
Yes.
Future outlook, as you exit office, the next commission, what are some of the priorities that they need to put in place in the next few years?
As you mentioned, first of all, of course, the strategic plan we started with has come to an end. They need to think about the new strategic plan. Secondly, they need to think about the hard question you asked me, harmonization. They must keep that in mind. They must at least move 1% or 2% in the harmonization process. We also discovered that our pension laws are very varied, that we have got different pension laws for different categories of public servants. That they need to start thinking about and how they can be able to harmonize. That's not very difficult because it's a benefit, and they can actually harmonize that quite quickly compared to many other things. We have been thinking about a model, a forecasting model, which we have mooted for the last 6 years, but we haven't made much progress. But that would be very useful in terms of forecasting. Where are we going in terms of wage bill? And how much are we spending? How much are we likely to spend? So that model becomes very critical for the incoming team. Probably the last one, of course, there are many others. The next review cycle begins next year, 25-26. So as soon as they get in, the first assignment is start thinking about are we able to review the remuneration for the public, for either both the state officers and also the public service? Can we do that? Depending on how the economy is performing. You know where we are right now in terms of the economy. You know what's available. We know that in terms of resource mobilization, it's been curtailed because of the finance bill, of course, that flopped. So it means we must keep on thinking what happens in 25-26 in terms of remuneration. Of course, finally, which is a big thing, is it possible? We started very well, and we did explore the possibility of having one body that represents government in negotiation in the tripartite agreement. Right now, we've got different employers who, yes, they're from government, but some of them, we found that it would be better to have an independent, maybe team who represent government in terms of negotiating with the trade unions across board, because that will provide consistency, will remove conflict of interest, and will also be able to be established very strong structures that will move into the future.
Will it not increase the wage bill?
What is that?
The commission.
3-4 people. You know, now we're spending more money by not having good negotiators. You understand? So because we don't have good negotiators, the negotiators from the trade union side, who are always trained and they are 110% excellent. From the government side, we are normally scared of negotiating because we're scared of being overpowered. But if we have one body, it's a group of 3 or 4 or 5, maximum 6 people, or within the institution who are specialized negotiators whose business will be listening to anybody who comes to negotiate, and we tell them, well, we hear what you're saying, but this is where we are, and this is how we move. Countries have done that. Ghana is there where they negotiate once a year, and they finish in 1 week. After that, people go back to work until the next year. Now, them they do every year. Here we do every 4 years. You see, because we looked at our economy, we are not able to manage.
Any policy changes moving forward?
We cannot. What has already been established, Ken, we hope will continue forward, because when we came on board, we decided that we will not change what was already in place unless we want it improved. So some of the policies were improved. Okay, and probably moving forward, we do expect that the new commissioners who come on board will basically look at what we've done and at best improve on what is there. We can't commit ourselves to which of these will happen. I've just mentioned some way forward, and part of moving that way forward is actually looking at the policies that exist and see whether they can actually help them to be able to move the institution forward.
Okay, let me pick your mind on some personal reflection.
Yes.
You know, as a key figure in the SLC, what has been your most challenging decision, and how did you navigate it working in the SRC?
That's an interesting one. The beauty of working at SRC is that we are an independent commission, and therefore we can make decisions without fear and without favor. All right? So every decision we made, we were very careful, first of all, to look at what is the impact. All right? Not necessarily what will people say, but whether it's a right decision. And if it's a right decision, we go ahead with it. It doesn't matter what people will say. What comes to mind for me, 2 of these. One, when we were, the members of the MCAs were asking throughout about the car grant. They wanted a car grant, just like the members of parliament, which ideally they qualify. But there was no money at all. So every year they would be saying, we want a car grant, just like our colleagues. We want a car grant. So during the period of, if you remember the BBI, all right, we asked them a question, and not because it was BBI, but because it happened to be being asked at that time. They came and told us, we want car grant. We asked them a question, fine. You have a facility, which is a loan facility. If we convert the loan facility so that you're able to get your transport facilitation, will you be okay with that? They said, we are happy to do that yesterday. We said, no problem. You have told us you have money. We will approve that decision. You have money. But you know what everybody thought? Because of BBI, we had actually given ourselves in to the executive. That is what was thought. But for us, they did know that the car grant issue started in the previous commission. And we kept on saying, until you show us the money, there's no way we are going to agree. But as we speak today, MCAs have a transport facilitation benefit. They already have that. The second one, of course, was the remuneration, the review of the remuneration. You remember Head of State said that the remuneration should not be reviewed. That's what he said. But we asked ourselves, we are happy to hear what our leader is saying, but the responsibility of this process lays squarely on our shoulders. We will not ignore what he has said, but we will take it into consideration as a key stakeholder in this nation. You understand? Yeah. That's what we did. We went on with our plans, went on with our decisions, but taking into consideration public participation, as everybody else, whatever information we got from everybody else, including our leader, who said, you know what, I think we are not in a very good position. For me and my deputy, we don't want.
It actually happened during the Gen Z demonstrations.
No. That happened before. That happened last year.
All right.
That happened last year. When we reviewed the remuneration, they said we don't want a review. And we never gave them a review. But that does not mean the incoming president or the incoming leaders they will have a structure for themselves. Yeah. So those are the two, for me, I remember just now. There could be many others, but those are very clear, which somebody can say, you see, you actually listened to the executive. Yeah. Of course, the other decisions that from the legislature, which has been quite, are not really favorable for the commission, but we have not moved with any sidelinings because we know the Constitution provides protection, and therefore you need to make a decision the best way you know how. And that's what the commission has done.
During the Gen Z demonstrations, there was actually a review on, not actually a review, but there was actually the debate on salary increment for public servants.
Yes.
And the president said that he and the deputy are not going to have any salary increment.
Not going to. They never had it last year. The remuneration that they're talking about was actually gazetted in 2023, 2024, and then 2024, 2025. Remember I told you in 2020, during the COVID, we did not review salary for 2021, 22, and 2023. Salaries were frozen.
Yeah.
So nobody got anything. So 22, 23, and 23, 24, then we actually relooked at the structure and we gave a gazette notice which was going to review pay for state officers and for other public officers. That was given 1 year ago. What was presented and what we saw was not a new remuneration that was granted. It was a revival or a continuation of what was planned the previous year.
No.
So there was no, even if they said they will not get, they could not get because even last year they didn't get. So this year they also were not going to be getting, as it were.
All right.
Yes.
As you conclude, 6 years at SRC, what was your highlight and how can you say your time was? Did you achieve what you wanted to achieve at that time?
For us, when we look at the strategic plan that helps us, first of all, reorganize the institution, and also looking at the mandate. Our 6 years, we started off running because the commission had been 8 months behind schedule. The last commission left in December. We came in September the following year. So you can imagine the backlog that we had. As we speak today, that backlog is completed, and we're happy that we finished that backlog. For me, the big highlight is that I was really able to work with a team of men and women full of integrity, passionate to serve this nation. And difficult times as we had, there was no time we actually had a disagreement in terms of a decision that we had made. And therefore it became a smooth sailing position that I had to work with that kind of people. And of course the fact that we could make a decision that was beneficial to the rest of government and was seen as useful in terms of being implemented and seeing positive outcomes for government, I think for me that was a highlight. And of course, finally, this was really like the last year of my career civil service. I began working in 1986. So now I'm completing my stint on a high. So for me, I was very excited that was possible for me to do so.
Yeah, you've actually fulfilled what you wanted.
Yes, very fulfilled. I'm living very fulfilled. and we are leaving behind a legacy. We want to just encourage the team that is coming in, build on that legacy.
So what next for Monyoncho after starting as SRC?
First I want to rest for the first 3 months.
Yeah.
Just want to rest. I want to relax. I want to reflect where I need to be at. I have a few options that I can pick up.
Yeah.
But I would like to have my mind rest a bit, so that I don't want to be on high gear the way I've been for the past large part of my life. I want to take it slow. There's a lot of work to do in the ministry. There's support that is required out there by the larger church. I'm an ordained minister, by the way, so I might as well just get into supporting the work that is that's already there. Yes.
Okay, and all the best in the next phase of life.
Thank you, Ken.
That has been John Monyoncho, SRC Commissioner, taking us through the time he has been at SRC, even as the term of the commission comes to an end at the September. And with that, you come to the end of the Dialogue KE and Newswatch tonight, the 2nd day of September 2024. On behalf of the amazing team that made this bulletin a success, have yourselves a blessed night. My name is Kennedy Kimani.